Happy New Year, even though it is January 4th. For Austin and I, 2023 has been kind of a terrible year so far, but hopefully your guys' has been better. There was a lot of games on January 1st, on New Year's Day, and Austin and I are here to recap all of the Week 17 games, as we are now 1 week closer, 1 week away from the playoffs. It'll be a lot of fun. This is K&A Football. All right, so before we really get into anything, any football stuff, this episode might seem a little bit different. Not too drastically different, but we have a new setup. Not crazy different, but things around. We have the wall that was behind me. We built a whole, or Debbie built a whole, I don't even know what to call it, but a whole thing. Put it now behind Austin. We've shifted the set to more to the right. We've got new technology back with Debbie. We're still working on getting new mics. So we're still kind of testing. This is kind of more, it's an episode, obviously, but it's more, we'll see how this goes. I mean, we're going to, obviously, anything that needs improved should be improved by this next episode. So we don't know how the echo will sound. We're still testing it out as we go.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the lights are going to be because the lights are very dimmed right now.
Yeah.
Because, one, I have a concussion, which is why we didn't record on Monday. So that's another thing. The lights are maybe a little darker than normal because it really messes with my eyes. So yeah, kind of hurts. It's a 2023, great year so far. But
he's been concussed the whole year so far.
And I have been. And also instead, so we're gonna do the recap like always. But the first game we'll talk about will be the Monday night game because that is the news of the season, like
of the
news
year.
of like one of the biggest stories ever for football. So if we want to jump right into it, this K&A weekly recap.
The K&A week recap.
All right. So yeah, here we go. First game. So this was the most anticipated game of the season. Big Monday night game. Big stakes for the playoff picture. It was Bills at Bengals. Two high-powered teams that have very good chances of going to the Super Bowl. And I mean, it started off just like a great game. I mean, like we all expected it to be. And then midway towards the end of the first quarter, I'm sure you guys have heard about it. It's like the biggest news in the world pretty much right now. Damar Hamlin, a second-year safety for the Bills, made a tackle on T. Higgins around the 50-yard line and got up and then completely went limp after the tackle. He stood up, went limp, and fell to the ground. And when you first see it, you're like, oh my gosh, like, that's awful. Probably like hit his head really hard on the tackle.
Yeah.
Or like something must happen. But like you see injuries all the time. Like you see brain injuries. You see the Tua injury. That's what a lot of people were connecting it to right away. But so they went to commercial break and then they came back from commercial break and they're like, oh my goodness. Like what was it? He's still on the field. Teams have surrounded him now. We're going to go back to break. And you're like, man. And then they go and it's like, okay, now they have an ambulance on the field. And you're like, wow, like we're going to go to break again.
Yeah.
And then they come back and you're like, okay, he's now receiving CPR on the field.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. Like, you see him go down and you're like, oh, that's, like you said, it's a weird injury, but it's not like uncommon. Like, people come up, they go down, no big deal. They bring the stretcher out and you're like, again, pretty common. The ambulance comes out. Not super common, but it happens at least once. I'd say probably once a week in the NFL. There's an ambulance on the field. Maybe once every other week you see the ambulance come out. But there's never been a time in NFL history where they're doing CPR on the field. They did CPR for 10 minutes before he was, like, they got a pulse back and they had to have assisted breathing in the ambulance all the way to the University of Cincinnati Hospital. And the Bills released a statement about, I don't know, 10 minutes before we started recording, something like that.
Supposedly. It took us like an hour to set up.
That's true. There was a statement, okay, like an hour ago, or however long ago it was, saying that he is down, the ventilator only has like 50% of his breathing, so he's beginning to breathe on his own. That night, he had a pulse back on his own. So, I mean, he's making improvements towards, living, because that was really the big concern, was that, I mean, he didn't have a heartbeat on the field, like, and he wasn't breathing. Like, clinically, he's dead. They're able to revive him, and so now it's looking like he's going to make strides towards recovery, but he's still in critical condition. He's still medically sedated. So there's a long road to recovery for him, but so far, things look optimistic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when it first happened, I wasn't able to watch the game with my eyes. I had to have a little mask on and listen to the game. But from what it sounded like, players have never reacted the way that they were. I mean, both teams, credit to them, they formed like a human wall around him for I guess his privacy. And all of the Bills players were just bawling their eyes out. The Bengals players were clearly in distress. And then they went back. They were all bawling their eyes out, clearly distraught. And then the refs came and they said, hey, like, you guys have 5 minutes to warm up, and then you can come out and play the game. And it was pretty clear that both teams weren't going to do it. Nobody moved. And then Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott, credit to them, they came out and were like, hey, they talked on the field, and they pulled both their teams off the field. They went to the locker room, and about an hour later, the NFL postponed the game.
Yeah.
To no one's surprise, really. I mean, how are you going to play that game? Both players for both teams completely messed up. I mean, you've never really seen anything like that. He completely lost his life on the field, and they brought him back, and they still don't know, could he still pass away? Yeah, it's very scary. I mean, that's their teammate. They're with their teammates more than they're with their family during the season, and
yeah,
it was really hard. I mean, shout out to all the teams of the NFL, all the teams changing their. I mean, it doesn't mean much, but changed their Twitter icons to like pray for Damar, like all the stuff. His GoFundMe for his foundation had reached, I think, $6 million, and his original goal a couple years ago was like 25,000. So like he's getting so much support, and so many people are like respecting him and paying their respects. And I mean, he's not dead,
right?
But like, it's a very scary scene, and yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah. A lot of people, I think, were surprised that the game wasn't postponed earlier, because it was very clear, like 15 minutes after that injury, that no one was going to be playing in that game. Like, there's no possible way as a player that you can come back. And I mean, mentally, having seen your teammate just received CPR in the field and then rushed away in an ambulance, there's no way you're coming back and playing. And then there's no way that you're able to then go make a tackle yourself. Like, knowing that that might be a risk that you're taking on a routine play, a routine tackle. Like, there's no way anyone's going to do that.
Right.
But, I mean, the NFL obviously had to think about a lot more than just that game. They had to think about, okay, well, we have to postpone this game. What are we going to do about postponing this game? Where are we going to put it for next time? Are we going to reschedule? What's going to happen? What does this look like? So it did take some time to get, the official word the game would be postponed. That obviously couldn't come from the referees there. It couldn't come from anyone low in the NFL. That had to come straight from Roger Goodell, which is, pretty big deal. You have the commissioner of the entire league that has to do that. But, prayers for Damar Hamlin.
For sure.
Hope that he makes a full recovery. Hope that they find a time to get this game rescheduled.
Right. I mean, everyone talks about the whole Damar Hamlin's health, and that is what matters. I mean, football comes secondary to a human being's life, but you still do have to pay. Like, look, this is a huge game. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but this is their job, and you have to play this game somehow. Sure, they don't have to play it, but it's got to go down somewhere. Are they going to mark it as a tie? Personally, that's what I see them doing. Again, it doesn't matter what they do in the grand scheme of things, but it has a lot. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like a team with two nobodies. I mean, you just cancel the game. It has no effect.
Right. Even like if there were two teams that had no chance to make the playoffs, they're both eliminated. Whatever. This has major implications. They're both in the playoffs, but it has implications for the 1 seed. It has implications, obviously, for the AFC Championship game even.
Right, because say this game happens, Bills win this game, they're on the inside track to get the first seed and the bye in the playoffs and have all the home games. If this game's called a tie, Kansas City has all of that. If Buffalo wins or if Cincinnati wins, they have a really good shot at all of that stuff. So it's like this is a big game. The NFL has a lot of questions to answer.
Right.
But obviously the main focus right now is Damar
Right.
Hamlin.
And even more, like, third of all of that, right? Number one is Damar Hamlin. Number two, what are they going to do this game? Third, fantasy
football.
championships were this week. I mean, I personally had Dawson Knox and T. Higgins playing in this game, and my opponent had Stephon Diggs and Jamar Chase. So for me personally, it's not so bad. You know, like,
it's not so bad that they like postpone the
right,
game. Right.
and
yeah.
like we'll see what happens with that. But it's like, okay, well, obviously this game is going to get postponed into then this week 17 game into week 18 or even further if they play it again. So it's like, what does that look like for your lineup? I mean, I was obviously going to get outscored by my opponent,
Right.
so we'll see. I mean, sleeper is a
Mhm. They already called their
major
game.
fantasy, and they're like, that's it. We're not doing anything more. You as the league commissioner can change that if you want.
Yeah, Sleepers app, they said if the game does get replayed in a couple weeks, the commissioner has the power to put the points for that game into this week, which me being the commissioner in that league, I have all the power to make sure my brother does not win, which is so fun. But I mean, if they do happen, I'll give him the game. But yeah, a lot of questions to be answered about Monday.
Obviously.
But now into the Sunday games and all the good news, I guess, that happened in the game.
Yeah, good news for some,
Yeah,
bad news for others.
right.
So we did already talk about this one.
No, we did not.
No, we made our picks and we talked about this one, didn't we?
No, because we picked this episode for the Pick'ems was on Thursday.
Oh, it was.
But there wasn't much to say.
That's true.
On the Titans, so we were wrong on the aspect of the Titans needed to win this game. They didn't. No matter what happened in this game and no matter what happened in the Jaguars game, this upcoming game between the Titans and the Jaguars decides that division. So they really rested a lot of their starters. Why play them in a meaningless game? Makes a lot of sense. So they played no Derrick Henry. Well, Joshua Dobbs was starting. They had no receivers. Their defense was kind of down. And they played the Cowboys 27-13. Not much to say. Dak Prescott doesn't really look good. 3 interceptions in this game.
Yeah, Dak Prescott is tied for the most interceptions this year. Tied with Derek Carr, I think. I think he is.
I'm not sure on that one.
But either way, Dak Prescott has tied with the most interceptions, 14, and he's missed 5 games. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago. It's getting worse. Like, and it's weird because they're still winning games. Like, it's kind of like they're winning in spite of Dak Prescott, which is a weird thing to say because a couple years ago you would have been saying that they were winning with Dak Prescott, but
because of that.
right,
Yeah, right.
now it doesn't seem like that's the case. Now they're winning games because of their defense, because of their run game, and Dak Prescott is kind of holding them back from blowing teams out by 40.
Right.
Here's a good question though, because you did mention that Joshua Dobbs played in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Dobbs did not look bad. Joshua Dobbs was making throws.
Mm-hmm.
He was running. Like, he looked pretty good. In my opinion, he looked a lot better than Malik Willis. So, like, do you think that they signed him like 7 days before this game?
Right.
So it's like, do you think that were they trying out Joshua Dobbs, like, see how he is? Or was their intention to rest Malik Willis so he could play?
Well, they
against the
announced a couple days ago, Josh Dobbs is starting in this week's game against Jacksonville. So clearly they like what they saw in him with very limited players around him. And I think Malik Willis right now, he doesn't give him a good chance to win. He's a rookie. He's one of those guys. He really needs to sit for a couple years.
Yeah.
And like learn. Like he needs to learn behind a quarterback, or just he needs time to sit and get accustomed to the game. Josh Dobbs, he hasn't been a starter anywhere, but he's been in the league for a while.
He's been around the
right
block.
now, he gives you a better chance to win. You're not going to make you're not going to go far if you do make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it's not going to make a huge
you make
difference.
the playoffs.
Right. You make the playoffs, you have a chance. I think Josh Dobbs gives them a better chance, which is why they did start Josh Dobbs.
Flashback to, like, was it even like last year, the year before, when Tennessee was the 1 seed in the AFC?
Yeah, it was last season.
Like, how have they fallen off this far? I'll tell you how. It's because they got rid of A.J. Brown. Like, that is how they
Yeah.
fell off this far.
When you don't have receivers, hard to win.
It really is. I didn't know this about Josh Dobbs. We can stop talking about this game because it's meaningless. But I didn't know. I found this out on Thursday that the dude has a master's in aerospace engineering and graduated with a 4.0 GPA. Didn't know that. That has to be the smartest football player that has ever stepped on the field. Like, that is crazy stuff. He could literally work on rockets, and he's playing as like a third string guy on most NFL teams.
He's making millions.
Like, yes, man,
do
it's
nothing.
crazy. All right, next game. This game doesn't matter.
And
This
I'm not
game-
gonna lie to you. Yeah,
This game doesn't matter even more. Like,
I was watching Red Zone, and this game very seldom came on. Like, I literally had to look on Sunday night to be like, who won this game? Like, I actually had no idea. So apparently the Falcons kicked a game-winning field goal in the dying seconds of the game. Couldn't tell you that happened. You're gonna have to talk about this one. I really don't know what happened.
yeah, I really don't know either, to be completely honest with you, because I was busy watching the Browns game and then tuning into the match down south in the NFC. But this game was just like nothing really of note. Both of these teams had nothing to play for. The Falcons were eliminated from playoff contention last week. The Cardinals were eliminated from playoff contention, I don't know, week 5. And so, like, it's just, the game really meant nothing. In the
Right.
grand scheme of football, this was just for players' contracts next year. How early will Cliff Kingsbury get fired into the offseason? Hopefully immediately after the Super Bowl.
Hopefully, media after
Week
next
18.
Sunday,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, this game really meant nothing. Falcons kicked a game winner, like you said, and that's about all I know about this game. Sorry for any Cardinals or Falcons fans out there. I doubt there are any at this point, especially ones that are watching football. Nothing really to discuss here.
this game was more interesting.
It's a little more
This
interesting.
had a lot of playoff implications. The Dolphins, again with no Tua because he, like me, is concussed. He seems to be concussed every single week.
Mhm.
I personally don't know if he can ever play football again. I don't see a way that he does.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I were Tua, I would probably keep playing football.
I mean, I'm sure
not
he
gonna
wants
lie.
to. Absolutely,
I'm sure he wants to. He's worked his whole life to get here. He's making so much money being here, and he's, I mean, pretty decent when he's there. But clearly, the Dolphins really struggle without him.
Mhm.
But as like a coaching staff, like how on earth, or like a general manager or whatever, like how on earth do you sign this guy or let him play? Like, he gets a concussion every other week. I mean, after you get your first concussion, it's so easy to get a second one, and then even easier after that. Every hit on your head is just like you're probably going to get a concussion. For Tua at this point, a routine tackle is you're concussed. Like,
Right.
he should not play anymore.
I mean, that's why Luke Kuechly retired only after 7 years. He was one of the best linebackers and retired very early.
Yeah.
I mean, as the football player, yeah, you wanna keep playing. I mean, this is your dream. You've worked your whole life to get to this point, and you're finally leading a good team. But then the human side, it's like, okay, I want to have a future still. I don't want to have a completely messed up brain. Like, I want to still live a normal life once I retire. This isn't going to be my whole life. I'm going to retire mid-30s.
Right.
Like, I still want to live a normal life after that. So at what point it's like, it's not worth it. You already have made a couple $1 million.
Right. And I mean, you'll have job prospects
Yeah,
after this.
exactly.
I mean, you're a good quarterback. You'll
Mhm.
probably be a coach somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, you have a career after this.
Yeah.
But aside from Tua, clearly the Dolphins have some sort of curse put on them where if Tua doesn't play and Bridgewater has to start, Skylar Thompson must also play in the game.
Yeah.
Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson played in this game, and they combined for what was a normal quarterback performance. Like,
Yeah.
it was decent.
Skylar Thompson played. I think he outperformed Teddy Bridgewater. He played, I think, the best he's played all season. He really struggled early in the season, but he didn't play great. But against a good Patriots defense, he did all right. Patriots, they might squeak into the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah, there's a chance. We're
they're
going to go
doing-
over that at the end of this
Right, oh,
episode.
that's
Each
right.
team's chance to get in, what they need to do, what needs to happen around them. But there's a chance that they squeak in. There's a chance for either of these teams
Right.
to squeak in to that
The
7th seed.
Patriots completely non-conventional way of winning games keeps working. They don't have an incredible run game. Ramondre Stevenson has done nothing. Their passing game, not really there. They don't have receivers. They just play great defense. They get a lot of defensive touchdowns. Like every game, it seems like they're getting a pick six or a fumble six or a punt return touchdown. And they're just very good at winning these unconventional ways of winning football games.
If they just had anyone other than Matt Patricia at offensive coordinator, to where their offense could keep the ball for more than 3 downs, they'd probably be winning a lot more games.
And there's still probably very good chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, very good chance.
Right.
Well, not really. I'll say
I really haven't looked at
how
the
little of a
playoff
chance they
picture, so
actually have. This game, though, Saints at Eagles, was a absolute shocker. I think everyone, even without Jalen Hurts playing, anticipated the Eagles to win this game. And every time I looked at the box score, it was just, hey, the Saints are still winning. At what point are the Eagles going to start winning? And it just never happened. The Saints were fighting with everything they had because they knew that across the bayou, the Panthers were playing the Buccaneers, and they knew that if the Panthers were to beat the Buccaneers and then the Saints beat the Panthers in Week 18, the Saints would be able to take the division and make it into the playoffs. And so they were fighting with everything they had to win this game. And the Eagles clearly just didn't turn it on, proving how, I think, valuable Jalen Hurts is to this team.
Right.
Yeah, like this is really shocking. Do you think, I mean, Jalen Hurts, not exactly, supposed to play next week?
Oh, I think he will. 100%.
You think he will try to lock the 1 seed?
Right, the 1 seed is still on the line. Their division is still on the line.
Yeah.
If they lose next week and Dallas wins, Dallas jumps them for the division. Dallas jumps them for the 1 seed, and they're in a bad situation because then they got to come and they got to play away, and they lost a 1 seed, and they are now playing at some other team's home, which would be the Buccaneers. We'll get to, but yeah, I think without playing in this game, Jalen Hurts showed that he is the MVP. I mean, there was a lot of people saying before he got hurt, and even the week that he got hurt, like, oh, the Eagles, they have such a good team around him. Any quarterback could come perform with this team. Right. Jalen Hurts isn't the real MVP. Anyone could put up those numbers. Okay, and they played very good last week without Jalen Hurts, but against what I think is a very overrated Cowboys defense. They get the picks and the touchdowns for fantasy, but they give up so many points and so many yards. It's like, man, I don't know. But then they go against the Saints team that's not that good at all. The only reason they're still in the hunt is because they were in the NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't do anything. They had the ball in the first quarter for 5 minutes. A whole 5 minutes. I mean, they couldn't do anything. Jalen Hurts should be the MVP after this game. I was not a Jalen Hurts believer. I like Jalen Hurts, but I didn't think he was that great. I think obviously Mahomes is better, but I thought other players deserved it way more than him because of the team that Jalen Hurts has around him. But after this game, I'm like, he led them to 1 loss, and now they're 0-2 without him.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not be surprised if they list Jalen Hurts as active and starting for Week 18. And then if for some reason they were to jump out to a big lead, I would also not be surprised at all if as soon as they get a comfortable lead, Jalen Hurts is out, A.J. Brown is out, they're putting in all their backups and resting up, hoping to take the 1 seed, the division, and then the bye week.
Right. Rest up.
The first week of the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, they play the
Giants next week.
Right. So, and the Giants don't really have much more to play for. I think they have their 6th seed locked up. They can't go up or down.
Right.
So it's like, why would the Giants risk these injuries? They're probably going to rest Daniel Jones, Saquon, a lot of their defense. So probably a pretty easy game for them next week. The Giants, they have nothing to play for at this point. Eagles have a lot to play for. They'll get that big win and then rest up their starters for the playoff.
Yeah. Next one here is
the Giants.
Colts at Giants. Speaking of the Giants. So Nick Foles, I was going to say he died, but that's insensitive at this point. Nick Foles got pancaked.
Yeah, he got hurt. He got injured.
Yes, he did get injured, and as he's writhing in pain, the guy who hit him is doing snow angels on the ground. A spectacle to see.
And then he
for
went on the
sure.
sideline and did the night dance.
Yeah, and then he claims that he didn't know that he was hurt, which is like, yeah.
I don't
for
understand
sure
that
you
because
didn't.
if you watch the replay, he sacks him, and then you just see Nick Foles on the ground just like squirming in pain. Like he's just twitching. Like it looks pretty painful. And he's like hitting him as he's doing these snow angels. And then he still goes to the sideline. He's down on the field, and you go and you're just like, dude, come on, man. But yeah. This wasn't a contest.
No, it was not. Giants killed him 38-10. Sam Ellinger got to play after Nick Foles went down. Oh, big surprise. Jeff Saturday continues to lose, and the owner keeps coming out and saying that Jeff Saturday is a prime candidate for the coaching job next year, which is like, you're lying to us.
Imagine how mad would you be? Jeff Saturday wins one game, and it was his first game. Finishes the season like 1 and whatever. And then he goes and wins the job, and then you owe Mr. King a dinner.
I would be so mad because I was even talking to him on New Year's Eve, and I was like, man, not looking good for you. And he's like, well, the owner came out and said this. And I'm like, yeah, but I was still right. He's not a good coach. Like, he's like, well, I'm just upset that like, you people think you know what you're talking about, and you feel like you can say that he's not going to be a good coach. He's like, yeah, but I was right, wasn't I?
Right.
Like, here he is. He's
a
won
horrible
one
coach,
game
yeah.
against the Raiders. Okay, like, he's a
Right.
terrible coach. He just lost 38-10 against the Giants. Either way, this means that the Giants lock up a playoff spot. They lock up the number 6 spot. They can't go up or down, like you said, for the first time since 2016, since the infamous boat incident, where all those Giants players take a picture of on a cruise, and then they proceeded to lose
Every single game since
every
then.
game since then. So they lock up the playoffs. Like you said, would not be shocked if the Giants rest everybody. They're playing like third string guys next week because they know that even if they lose, it doesn't matter. They're still in the same spot.
Oh, we got the
Oh, we got
Kayvon
the-
Thibodeau celebration. All right. So, yeah, this was still when Matt Ryan was in the game. This was the play that took him out of the game.
Nick Foles.
Right. That's what it was. Okay, yeah. So, boom, sacks him. He's squirming in pain. It's no angel. He's hitting him as he's doing it. So, it's like, how do you not know, bro? And he's looking over. He's looking over. He's like, does he think does he think Nick Foles is doing it with him?
He's not putting his arm all the way out to
Yeah.
touch him either. He's like, oh, this arm goes out, but this arm's staying close because he knows he's right there on
And
the
he's
ground.
literally looking to the side. Like, he knows. Come on,
He knows
bro.
what's up.
But he is a very good rookie. I will say that. He's a beast.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. That's-
it's funny. But,
it's funny.
yeah, Giants. Hey, I don't think they're a great team, but they are in the playoffs, and you can't deny that. They're in the playoffs. Who knows? Anything can happen once you get to the playoffs. Congrats.
Yeah.
Giants fans haven't been able to be happy about that since 2016.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably end up getting steamrolled by, let's see, Vikings. They'll probably play the Vikings in the playoffs. Yeah, it will be the Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, probably not steamrolled then because the Vikings barely beat the Giants last time, so that could be a fun little upset there.
Wait, you said you think they will beat the Giants?
I said it could be a toss-up. I was saying they'll probably get
Yeah, yeah,
steamrolled because they barely squeaked in, but then I was like, oh, never mind.
Sorry,
they're
I was
playing the
completely
Vikings.
zoned out for a second. I was just dazed.
Yeah, this is what concussion happens.
I'm sorry. I was out of it.
All right. Carolina Panthers at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, fun little fact for all of you guys. We initially told you that we weren't recording on Monday because of set design, hence the wall. Okay. Then, that was a lie. We lied to you.
No, it wasn't.
Never mind. It wasn't a lie. We're
I mean,
always truthful to the
we
viewers.
did have a set change.
We did have a set change, so that was a partial truth. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was partial. It was mostly, and then Caden at the beginning of the episode told you that it was because, his head, he's concussed, whatever, poor Caden.
Shut up.
The real reason we didn't record on Monday is because we knew that if we had to record fresh off of this loss, that Caden would probably end up destroying the set, and then we'd have real set construction to do. So we postponed all the way to today, so Caden had enough time to cool down, so his brain had enough time to wobble around in his head, get all wonky, his brain turned to mush, and now he gets to talk about this game.
Right. So, like, right after this game happened, I had set in my mind, I'm going to come on. I'm going to be, like, this is the first time. I'm going to be yelling into this mic about this game. But I can't do that right now. It would make my head hurt too bad just thinking about yelling. But has nothing to do with you. Don't be happy about it. But so yeah, Panthers needed to win this game and win next week to make the playoffs. And the big story of this game was J.C. Horn wasn't playing. He was rated one of the top corners in the NFL this season. He has been one of the premier lockdown corners in the league. He didn't play. In our second corner, Dante Jackson tore his Achilles a couple weeks ago, so he also was out. So we went into this game with C.J. Henderson and Keith Taylor as our two starting quarterbacks going up against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Moral of the story, that didn't work. And they could do whatever they want. The Bucs offense has been putrid all season. And yet Mike Evans had like over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns running the same freaking go route 3 times in a row for touchdowns. That's if J.C. Horn plays in this game, I'm sorry, we win this game. He guards Mike Evans. He doesn't score 3 go route touchdowns. He's not known as a fast receiver, and he just freaking burned 3 dudes on the same exact route. I mean, that's ridiculous. But then also at the same time, at what point do you start to make an adjustment? When do you say, let's put a safety, let's not go one-on-one, let's double team him, let's give some safety help. No, let's keep our horrible 3rd and 4th string corner, they're 3rd and 4th string for a reason, let's keep them on him. We signed Josh Norman. Yeah, let's play him for a whole 6 snaps this game. It's a great idea. Like, at what point do you start making adjustments? And you're playing against Tom Brady in a must-win game. You face back-to-back 4th and 1s on back-to-back drives. You're playing against Tom Brady, and your defense is getting torched because C.J. Henderson and Keith Taylor are terrible corners. No, you don't go for it with Deontay Foreman in your backfield, and you're one of the best rushing teams in the league right now. You're going to punt both times and give Tom Brady the ball to go score. That's not going to win you a game. You can't play so conservative, especially against Tom Brady when your team is so decimated with injuries. I personally, I don't know how I can root for Steve Wilkes to become the coach next season. I said it a couple weeks ago on the podcast after the Pittsburgh game. You can't win in 2022 by just running. You have to have a passing identity. I guess 2023 now, but you can't just run the ball every play. And that really showed down the stretch because him playing so conservative and only running the ball was really one-dimensional. And you can't score enough points to play defense. Like 30 points, it's a lot, but like that's kind of more common today because teams are just throwing like crazy. You're not going to score 30 points from running the ball 30 times a game.
Yeah.
And I waited to share until now on the podcast. Someone who has been with talks on the Panthers for a head coaching job. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Personally, wait. Personally, I would love for the Panthers to sign him as their next head coach.
I think I know. He had the interview just a couple days ago.
He didn't have an interview yet, but they've been talking. You know what I'm talking about?
I think you're talking about Harbaugh.
I am talking about Jim Harbaugh from the state up north, or the team up north. Personally, would love to see him for the Panthers. He's not like Matt Rule or any of these other college coaches. He's proven that he can win in the NFL. Took the Niners to a Super Bowl. He's proven he can win in the NFL and in college. So it's like, yeah,
pretty good.
Exactly. Why would you?
And I mean, his job. I mean, this last couple of weeks, the the college announcers have loved to bring up the fact that Harbaugh's job was pretty much on the line. Like 3 years ago, at this point, that everyone was like, "Yeah, Harbaugh is he's done here," and he was like, "Well, what can I do?" So he went to Baltimore, where his brother coaches the Ravens, and he's like learned some of his defense. So he put the Ravens defense in his defense at the team up north, and his whole thing is run first, run to pass. So
right, but
Caden.
But he still passes a lot more than Wilkes. Wilkes literally refuses to pass, and he plays. I mean, did you watch the game? He went for it on 4th and 1 first drive of the game. Sure, it didn't work, but he still went for it. Wilkes would just run the ball. He doesn't pass. You know?
Yeah.
I would love it.
Yeah, it could be interesting. We'll see where he goes. I think personally, he stays.
Good.
I think he stays up there.
Good.
He's
talking. He said he'd love. I mean, he played a year for the Panthers. He said he'd love to go back.
I'd love if he didn't stay there because He's decent. He's a pretty good guy. Not gonna lie, he's pretty good. So yeah, the Buccaneers lock up the number 4 seed in the NFC with their win this week, locking up the division as well.
Yeah.
All
Just
right.
to get steamrolled in the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. Broncos at Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of people, heard a lot, were saying like, oh, maybe it was, why am I forgetting the coach's name now?
Hackett.
1
week and we already
Man,
don't
I already
care.
forget his name. I already don't care. It's crazy. Everyone's being like, oh, Hackett was the problem. I mean, look, they almost beat him 24-27. In my opinion, straight up not the case. I mean, you just fired your head coach. All the players are coming out and they're trying to prove that they're not the problem. So all your players are coming out, they're firing, they're really trying. And additionally, this was a similar game to when they played earlier this year. They played earlier this year. It was a very similar story. It was very close, and everyone was like, what's happening here? And everyone seems to have forgotten that it's the exact same story.
So the exact same, aside from Russell Wilson getting injured. I mean,
Right.
I don't know what it is with either the Broncos really are play good against the Chiefs or the Chiefs really play bad against the Broncos. We can't really tell, but their games are always close. But it is the Chiefs. It is Mahomes. They still find a way to win.
Always find a way to win, even when he's not on defense. Because the defense is what won this for him. They forced Russell Wilson to fumble, which then caused them to go down and kick their 3 points to win this game. But Patrick Mahomes always finds a way to win, even when he's not on defense.
It's insane. They are now, depending on the outcome still of the Buffalo Cincinnati, they could be primed for the 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah,
which
it's a 3-way race for that 1 seed.
right, which is personally, I think it's absolute bogus if they do get the 1 seed. I mean, it's a man's life, and it really might have just given you the 1 seed. I mean, I know it would never happen. It's a joke to even bring it up, but like, just give it to Buffalo at that point. Like,
Yeah, I'm curious to see what'll happen.
they're in a really tough spot. The NFL is. There's
Yeah.
a lot of questions that need to be answered, and not a lot of time. The playoffs. I mean, a week from today, we're going to be going into the playoffs.
Right.
The
They
playoffs-
have no time
The
to figure
playoffs
this
start
out.
a week and a half from today, so they really. I mean, it's not a lot of time.
Right. And where are they going to play it at? Because like Buffalo, they went home. Like where it takes a couple days. Like teams go down like 3 days in advance. So like you got.
I don't think they're going to play the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I
what
think
do they do?
they'll
They
call it a tie, and it's just going to really mess up scheduling. And I mean, if a team like the Chiefs gets the bye and they win, they might asterisk the Super Bowl.
Play in Philly. Make it a neutral site between the two places. Have them play in Philly or Pittsburgh. That's pretty central too. All right. Next one here.
Oh, we can skip this. No, not really.
Well, Bears.
Fields got
Lions.
hurt, but yet still played because he is him.
He is him. Fields in the first quarter of this
Yeah.
game had 100 yards rushing. Then, unfortunately, he got hurt, which then made him, as anyone would be, very anxious to then step out where he is not protected anymore and can take those hits. And so he didn't rush too much. He ended the game with 136 yards rushing, which still led the entire Bears offense in rushing.
Shocker.
Who could have guessed? His throwing was abysmal. There was no passing in this game. for the
Because who
Bears.
is he throwing it to? Right.
Yeah, he's not throwing to anyone.
Equanimous, St. Brown.
Yeah, off-brand Amon-Ra. And the Lions then proceeded to absolutely trounce them, 41-10, giving the Lions a very real possibility of making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's good.
we'll
We'll
get to
talk
it.
about it at the end.
Again, not a whole bunch to talk about in this game. It was pretty boring, not gonna lie. This game, though, had, well, not a whole lot of implications. It had implications for one of the teams, had a lot of storylines at the end of the game. So, going into this game, this is Browns and football team, by the way. At the beginning of this game, earlier in the week, the football team goes, let's see, who do we want to be our quarterback now that Carson Wentz is back? Do we want the guy that started us off at whatever, like
1-6.
yeah, 2-5,
Yeah.
whatever it was? Like, do we want him to start, or do we want the guy that then won us like 5 straight? Who do we want? Let's go with Carson Wentz. That's a good idea. So, in a must-win game against the Cleveland Browns, which I'm a Browns fan, but it probably should have beat us. It probably should have come out with a lot more fire. This is why I personally am a fan of the Browns switching to the NFC, because we make the playoffs every year if we were. Washington decides to go with Wentz. Let me pull up my notes here. So, Carson Wentz completed 16 passes on 28 attempts. Not the worst performance ever. He threw for 143 yards.
That is the worst.
That's pretty bad. No touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Okay, and these weren't interceptions where it was like, oh, it bounced off of his receiver's hands, and so it really shouldn't be Wentz's interception. I personally am a fan of wide receiver interceptions.
Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't any of those. He threw into double coverage. He threw into triple coverage. He threw it directly to a guy once. Like, it was just like there was just the worst. Like, Carson Wentz just...
I mean, it's bad when in the second quarter, Washington the fans are chanting Heineke. They want the backup to come back in. And what's bad, even more bad, when in the post-game, you hear about this?
Yeah.
The post-game interview, they asked him, and they go, hey, man, can you walk us through your interception? And he says, which one? Straight face, which one? That's when you know that you are just the worst, man. You threw 3 picks against a Browns defense that has been getting carved against all season. They've really struggled. Joe Woods should be fired, but you're making him look like he should stay. Maybe the Browns will keep him because his defense just got 3 picks.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, it shouldn't happen. Please do not ever, Browns team, Browns general manager, do not say to yourselves, do not fool yourselves and say, we got 3 interceptions, so we should keep them. No, you got 3 interceptions against Carson Wentz. You should be ashamed you didn't get more.
No, but then Ron Rivera, also in the headlines after this game, they were in his post-game conference. They said, so how is it going to be depending on the 4 o'clock games? You guys could be eliminated today. Will that influence who you start next week at quarterback? And his response, dead serious, was, wait, we could have been eliminated? So he had no idea that's horrible look for the leader of your football team. Didn't know you could have been eliminated. Maybe that explains him starting Wentz. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, like, how do you not know that you can be eliminated? Like, that's just like a quick Google search. I mean, just pull it up on your phone before the game. Like, can the Commanders, no, not the Commanders, can the football team, I did it again. Can the football team, stop. Can us and their new mascot, General Tutty.
That's so weird.
Worst mascot in football.
The pig?
Yes. The pig is just the worst.
I don't think it beats the Gridiron Heights trash one.
Yes. Okay, Gridiron Heights, Clammy, whatever. It's like.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
Yeah. Oh man, this is like Clammy
something. It was like, if you don't know,
Whatever.
Gridiron Heights, it's like a little animated like joke thing that comes out every week, and when Washington was going through their football team,
Teamy the Team Monster. That's what it is.
Was it?
Yeah, that's their mascot.
Yeah, when they were going through their name of like the football team, there was a joke, and it was like their mascot, and it was just like a trash can Washington thing. It was funny. Go watch Gridiron Heights. Greatly recommend it.
Yeah, highly recommend. Yeah, their mascot sucks, and the football team sucks, and they are just the worst.
Right. They're starting Sam Howell next week's game. It doesn't matter, but maybe they can see what they got going into next season.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Oh, pulling up an image.
Pulling up an image of, what is it?
General Tutty.
General Tutty. And it doesn't go with them at all. It is a pig.
Yeah, look at this guy.
Well, I
It's
think that looks like a cycle.
literally just a pig wearing football team equipment.
That's what I see in my nightmares.
I mean, hey, like cover up the name of cover up the W on the hat, and cover up the Commander's shirt. What's that a mascot for? What is going on? And what is that a mascot for? Literally no team. No team is a pig.
Yeah. I don't understand this at all. It's like, okay, so I'll say their name because I'm trying to explain the thing. So we're the Commanders because we're the Commanders because we're located in Washington D.C. And so, people command in D.C. It's a good thing. And so then, massive brain, Our mascot will be a general.
Oh,
And we want to
Ooh.
score touchdowns. So General Tutty
oh, that's
will be
nice.
his name.
Good idea.
What will he be? What will he be, you ask? Will he be
General.
some military general, maybe? No. He shall be a pig.
I already have the Patriots. Mascot. So, take that.
Yeah, but still, like, a pig? That sends so many messages to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like you're mocking the commanders of the country.
It's almost like
it's already a
I
stupid
thought it was
name.
a joke when I saw it came out. Like I saw it and I was like, dude, I was like, there's no way that's a real thing. And then I keep seeing it and I was like,
It's real. I don't understand.
it's like,
it.
are you saying
So
you're gonna
dumb.
get cooked? Like,
Yeah, like, bro, teams are just gonna start bringing like bacon to the game, dude. Like, that's gonna be.
dude, no way. And that thing's scary looking.
Yeah, dude, this thing is gonna get you. If you eat bacon, it's gonna get you. Don't you worry.
But now back to the football.
Now back to the actual football instead of stupid mascots. Oh man, Jaguars at Texans. A game that.
Wait, hold
didn't-
up, hold up.
Yeah. What's up?
Sorry, before we move on, we have a chat from MJ Cobes. He asks,
Who is that?
oh, sorry, from
Who's he?
Sue Ellen. What do you think? What do you both think is a key roster move this offseason for your respective teams? Panthers for Caden, Browns for Austin.
Oh, I don't know. That's a W question.
and he has a bet on what Caden's going to pick. So we'll see what
Oh,
happens.
I guarantee you, I know what he's gonna say, and I'm gonna say it. A key roster move.
Yes.
I personally, I'd give up a lot for this, but I.
Oh, I didn't know where you were going, and now I do.
Yeah.
I remember where you're
Yeah.
going now.
We had a discussion about this a while ago. Panthers, I don't care what you got to do, make it happen. Sign Lamar Jackson. Debbie's mad at my feet.
Oh no.
Oh, sorry. Sign Lamar Jackson. He more than likely wants out of Baltimore. Dude, you're like, you got everything but the quarterback. Maybe you need another receiver and a coach. Boom. Sign Lamar Jackson. Throw money at him. And you will be primed to win the sucky NFC South. You will not be part of the sucky NFC South. You will be miles above everybody else. Is that what Sue Ellen assumed?
He said either coaching or quarterbacks. So, I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, for me, he said roster move, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Roster move, not meaning like coach. Because like if I had my choice, I'd say fire Joe Woods and get like anyone that's competent on defense. I'll do it.
Yeah, okay.
But
Dude, why am I getting another scam call? That's craziness.
but for a key roster move, I'd say we're pretty. I'm not gonna lie. The Browns are pretty solid on paper. Like we got some of the best corners in the league. Our safeties are good. Our linebackers are injured, but they're fantastic when they're not. Our defensive line is dominant. Our running backs are great. Our receivers are pretty good. Our quarterbacks, he's phenomenal. What I would say for roster move is I would say, if at all possible, keep Kareem Hunt. I love the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt
That's good.
move, and if you can't do that, just build the O-line some more.
Yeah.
Other than that, get a defensive coordinator, man.
Oh, sorry.
We didn't talk about the Jags game because you chatted us.
Good question, Sue Ellen. Shout out Sue Ellen. Even though Sue Ellen isn't here, still supporting the podcast.
Still supporting.
W.
You all can support too by subscribing on YouTube. We're almost to 100 subscribers. Help us get there.
Okay. So the Texans beat the Debbie, stop. So the Texans beat the Titans last week, helping the Jaguars like crazy. I mean, it helped put them in first.
Yeah.
Good position for the Jaguars to make the playoffs now. And how did the Jaguars thank them? By beating them 31-3.
Yes. True story. They did that. And what I loved about this game, they did that. What I loved the most about this game was not the fact that the Jaguars won, which is of course good because I'd love to see them take the division. I really would. What I liked most about this game is that even though it didn't matter at all, they could have
Oh, they could have.
sat every single person and they could have said, you know what? The game doesn't matter. We're going to rest our guys for Tennessee. Doug Peterson said, no, every game matters. If you're not like every game matters. And so we are starting everybody. Everybody will be starting. And so everyone played. He pulled everyone at halftime because they were winning by so much already. But everyone started, everyone got the game time reps, and I think that matters, and I think that's big. And I hope that reflects itself against the Titans next week.
Because the Titans did not do
Because
that.
the Titans didn't do that. The Titans sat everyone. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
I mean, that game, the game for the division, we're going to call it the AFC South Championship because that's what it is.
Yeah.
The AFC South Championship is Saturday night. And I'm really hoping I'm better by Saturday night because I really want to watch that game. It should be a good one.
It should be. I'm excited for it. Hopefully, the Jaguars take it. And there's a chance that both of them get in, which we'll get into at the end of the episode. Keep plugging that.
If we ever get there.
If we ever get there. We're never actually going to get there. Everything's going to die before we do. All right. 49ers at Raiders. Fun fact, Jarrett Stidham is him.
Dude, he is.
So,
100%.
that's fun. And who
Yeah.
on earth would have ever thought that Jarrett Stidham, who's thrown more interceptions than games started in his career, against Mr. Irrelevant would be one of the most entertaining games of the day?
Yeah.
No one would have ever thought that.
And who would have thought that the Raiders at all would be in this game without their quarterback?
Yeah.
Turns out, Derek Carr, you were the problem. You are no longer going to be a Raider. You will be a Colt, probably.
Yeah, odds are good he'll be a Colt, but assuming the Colts have learned their lesson with washed quarterbacks, I see Derek Carr going to the Jets, but that's a conversation
We'll see.
for another day.
But yeah, look, Raiders that didn't win, you're more than likely not going to beat the Niners. But they lost by 3 in overtime. Jarrett Stidham played great in one of his first starts against the Niners, who have one of the best defenses we've ever seen. I mean, great game. Devontae Adams was finally playing like the receiver he was supposed to be. Because you know why? Because he was kicking the ball. Shocker how that works.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's funny. Darren Waller played good. Hunter Renfrow, he's there. Raiders played good. They still didn't beat the Niners because Niners are still the Niners. Brock Purdy remains undefeated. Concerns me a little bit for the Niners because they're going into the playoffs in a couple of weeks, and they they won a very close game against Jarrett Stidham and then Raiders. But a win is a win, and they could still get the first seed. It's not impossible.
Yeah, definitely not impossible. Definitely a real possibility. Pretty entertaining game, pretty interesting. A lot of conversation then heading into the playoffs, like you said. It's like, I mean, their defense is rated one of the best defenses, if not the best defense. I mean, they're one of the few defenses that can run man coverage to basically perfection. And Stidham kind of tore it apart, which was
Crazy.
wild.
You skipped.
Yeah, you skipped the Jets.
But wrong way.
Wrong way. There we go.
There we go. Oh,
There we go. We did it. All right. So this was Jets at Seahawks. The Jets kind of needed to win if they wanted any chance at the playoffs. And they had Mike White back.
Didn't matter.
Had him back. And Mike White proceeded to play a Zach Wilson type game.
Yeah.
Jets lost 6-23, ending their playoff hopes and giving the Seahawks a spark of almost life heading into Week 18.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Seahawks didn't play great offensively. I mean, Jets have a good defense, so 23 points.
Mm-hmm.
Respectable, but their defense played lights out. I mean, Mike White didn't play good. Maybe showing he's not going to be the quarterback next year.
Yeah.
Their quarterback is not on their roster.
Yeah, I agree with that. Quarterback of next year is not on the roster. I agree.
And it showed in this game. I mean, Mike White's supposedly the best, and you just got completely shut down by a very bad Seahawks defense.
Yeah. See, we're flying through these 4 o'clock games because most of them were really boring.
Right.
Except for this one.
This was still boring.
This was boring, but it was exciting because who would have seen it coming? Vikings at Packers. Vikings lost 17-41. Ridiculous. Here's what I want to know, Caden. At what point in this game do you think that the Vikings fans realized that they're not winning?
Dude, probably very early because it was a 4 o'clock game.
True.
Because it's actually so... No, it wasn't. That was at 4.
No, I said they realized.
Oh, yeah.
at 1 o'clock.
It's actually so comical That
They realized at 1 o'clock that they were going to lose the game. They realized that it wasn't on. They're like, no.
yeah, the Vikings fans went to find the game, and you're like,
Oh, no. I'm too poor.
no, but it's actually so funny how bad they are when they're not playing at 1. But the Packers are hitting their stride, and they've become a team that you don't want to play right now, which is so unfortunate because I'm rooting against the Packers because Aaron Rodgers is overrated, but he's going to make the
He's not
playoffs
overrated.
more than likely.
Aaron Rodgers is him, even though he didn't. I mean, he played well in this game, but it was really the Packers.
Their running game
defense.
is him, their defense is him, and their receivers are him. Don't talk to me about
Aaron Rodgers is him. No, the Packers defense was really him today. Or yes, Sunday.
Sunday.
Goodness, we don't record on Mondays. I'm so confused. Packers defense was him. Jair Alexander shut down Justin Jefferson. Jefferson, 1 catch for 15 yards. That's it.
Jair Alexander was grittying all over him.
It was awesome.
That was funny.
I mean, now I did have Jay Jettis in a fantasy championship, so that
Yeah.
kind of was unfortunate. But sometimes
This could be a very legit playoff matchup. So it'd be interesting to see. It would obviously be in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But depending on when the game is played, could be interesting. Packers still have to win next week to make it.
Yeah.
We will talk about it if we ever get there. But yeah, Packers are rolling right now, unfortunately.
another absolute blowout. Rams at Chargers. Let's see. Did I actually have notes for this game? Or no,
I
it
did
just says
not.
Rams at Chargers.
Yeah, not much to say.
Chargers won 31-10. Good job, Chargers. You didn't charge your way into the playoffs, and we're very proud of you for that. Rams, was it worth it?
For
I
the-
ask you almost every week, and I'm waiting for an answer. At Preston Bowman, was it worth it? You've argued yes, but somebody tells me your tears say no. Next game.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about this game. There's not much. Ooh. Okay, this is a lot to say. Kenny Pickett is looking like a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
Didn't play great in this game, but he executed a game-winning drive, went down, threw a game-winning touchdown to take the lead, win the game. Steelers are now 8-8.
Mm-hmm.
A win on Sunday would give them a 9-8 record, and another winning season for Mike Tomlin, who will remain with no losses in his no
No
losing
losing
seasons. Whew, no losses. No losing seasons in his career. That is crazy, especially looking at this team. You're going into the season with Mitchell Trubisky. You got Chase Claypool, who likes to make TikToks. You got, who's also a top 3 receiver, according to him. You got Deontay Johnson.
By the way, where did he go? He went to the
Chicago.
Bears. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's happened since then? I haven't seen this name ever.
You got Deontay Johnson, who drops more than he catches. You got George Pickens, who
He was a little overhyped coming into the season. I'm not. gonna
he's
lie.
good.
He's good, but I think he was a little overhyped.
You got a horrible offensive line. Half your O-line's retired. And yet you might be 9-8.
And you might.
And you might make the playoff.
They were playing the Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
This
have any
next week.
idea? Do you have any idea? Like, I don't think I can express to you.
He's like sweating and like
Like,
twitching over here. Think about
You
it.
don't understand how much I would love. I would love to have the Browns beat the Steelers and have Mike Tomlin have a losing season and the Steelers' chances
Hey,
at the postseason.
you know what's
I
crazy?
would
is
love it.
more than likely, it's not going to happen.
I think we can do it. We can.
I
beat
mean,
them.
obviously, I think you guys can too. But it's
the
dude, it's
Steelers.
Mike Tomlin, and he always finds a way.
No, he's not gonna find a
go
way.
coach.
And then
Dude.
Miami might get in because they are playing.
Man.
Well,
it's, It's a whole thing.
Yeah, they're playing the
I got
Jets.
all the notes and everything.
Remember, we will get there.
Don't you worry, Debbie. We'll get there. We've been saying it the whole time. But yeah, Mike Tomlin, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. Deshaun Watson drops back to pass. Okay. Browns are down by 5. Okay. With 30 seconds to go. No, 15 seconds to go. Deshaun Watson drops back to pass from his own 20. Okay. He hits Amari Cooper on a slant. Amari Cooper taking it down the sideline. And all of a sudden, in comes Mike Tomlin and he trips him. Just like he said before. And that play right there, even with the penalty, causes the Browns to not be able to win the game. And yeah, that's what would happen. That's
Yeah.
what will happen. I hope not, but we'll see. All right. So Moving into the playoff picture.
Yeah.
For Week 18.
Do we have one on the board, or are we just using off of Austin's? Okay, so Austin's got notes because he's him, and
True story. I am him.
and
Debbie's
got
struggling. Yeah, it
Debbie's
is
been
your
moving
bad.
stuff around the whole podcast. So I don't know. Oh, it's the same one as last week. Okay, but obviously updated.
So here we have what's pretty much locked.
Don't twitch it too much. That kind of hurts.
So in the AFC, we have the Chiefs currently sitting in the 1 slot because of the Bills-Bengals situation. Got Bills sitting at 2, Bengals at 3, Chargers at 4, Ravens 5 in the first wild card spot. Scroll down a little bit, Debbie, please. Little bit. Okay. Then, looking to make the playoffs is the Jaguars, looking to take the division at the moment, and the Patriots. So, in the AFC, for the Jaguars to get in, they have to beat the Titans, or the Steelers lose, which is a possibility. The Patriots lose, they play Buffalo, a big possibility, and the Dolphins lose. They play the Jets, and they don't have Tua. Okay. For the Patriots to get in, they need to win against the Bills, which probably won't happen, or the Dolphins need to lose. Again, they're playing the Jets, real possibility. The Steelers need to lose. They're playing the Browns, real possibility. And the Titans need to lose, which I think will happen. Okay, for the Dolphins to get in, they need to beat the Jets, and the Patriots lose. Beat the Jets and Patriots loss. It could happen. For the Steelers to get in, they need to beat the Browns. The Patriots need to lose, and the Dolphins need to lose.
Real possibility.
Very real possibility. And for the Titans to get in, all they need to do is beat the Jags. So they have the most smooth path.
I mean, so do the Jags. The
Exactly.
Jags when they're in.
That's true. So between Jags and Titans, they control their own destiny. And, like I said, if the Titans beat the Jags can still get in by the Steelers losing, Patriots losing, and Dolphins losing. So both AFC South teams can still get into the playoffs, which would be wild. Okay, coming over to the NFC side here. Scroll up a little bit, Debbie. Want to give everyone the full experience. In the 1 seed currently is the Eagles, who need to win this week to lock that. The 49ers are in the 2 seed, looking to take that. Vikings are pretty much locks for 3.
Not really.
You think so?
I mean,
Where could they go?
If the Eagles win, obviously they clinch 1. If the Eagles lose and the Niners win, Niners jump to 1. That's better?
Yeah.
Now if I'm doing this, you can hear me good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if the Eagles win first, if the Eagles lose and Niners win, Niners are first. If the Eagles lose and the Niners lose and the Cowboys lose, the Vikings are 1. So
So a lot to play for in the NFC.
any 4 of the Eagles, Niners, Vikings, or Cowboys could technically still be the 1 seed at the end of this week,
which is kind of wild.
which is crazy.
Yeah, the
It's
fact
fun.
that it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's very fun for sure. A lot to play for. A lot of these teams are going to be playing their starters, really giving it their all, which is a lot of fun. It's better than, resting all your starters week 18. Buccaneers obviously have the last of the division spots, and then into these guys on the outside looking in, trying to clinch their spots.
Yeah, it's a wild card hunt here in the.
Yeah, there's only
NFC.
3 teams that really need to do anything. So, Seahawks, Lions, Packers. The Seahawks need to beat the Rams, and the Packers need to lose. Okay? Which is,
Could happen.
could very well happen. For the Lions to get in, they need to beat the Packers, and the Seahawks need to lose. Okay? And for the Packers, all they need to do is beat the Lions.
Right. So Packers have the inside track to that final wild card spot,
Right.
where they could play any of those top couple teams that we mentioned.
Right.
But then, depending on it really comes down to that Lions-Packers game. If the Lions win, Seahawks have a good chance of getting in.
Yep.
If the Lions win, Lions have a good chance of getting in. If the Packers lose, they're done.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, a lot more paths in the AFC to take that last spot.
No,
than
there's
in the NFC.
because there's two. No, there is one spot. You're right.
Yeah, one spot in each. And in the AFC, it's a lot of, even if they lose, 3 teams could also lose and they could still make it in, which all of them, again, very real possibilities. So it's a lot of fun heading into the last week.
I mean, if the Seahawks lose and the Lions lose, Lions and Packers play.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. Yeah, so be interesting if if the Seahawks lose and the Lions and Packers tie. Packers will get in.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of teams that are going to be
I
playing
don't
their
remember
starters.
really this much potential situations this late in the season.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. Hopefully, I'm able to watch the games this weekend.
That would be good.
Say a prayer that I will be able to. But yeah, anything else you want to say? Buckeyes lost, a heartbreaker. But let's not talk about that because that was sad.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm talking about that. Other than that, I think that's it.
So yeah, we know this one was a little later in the week. Our apologies for that. Hopefully,
Mics, hopefully.
we'll have the new mics and everything this new episode. Hopefully, it sounded good. We'll obviously make any changes if they're needed. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for watching this episode of K&A Football. You can listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and we're also active on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you. You're a real one.